Today on Commander Replay, we check out Klothys, God of Destiny, and we ask the question, what do you do with a creature that kinda looks like Deathrite Shaman? Find out next on Commander Replay. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. And be sure to use the TCG affiliate player link as it helps support the channel and it doesn't cost you anything. Welcome back, everyone. We are playing some Klothys, God of Destiny today, and today's deck comes as voted on by Patreon supporters. So here we are. Ended up keeping a hand that looked like this. I probably should have mulliganed it, honestly. It doesn't have quite enough green mana, and it doesn't really have any ramp other than this Nyx Bloom Ancient, which, doesn't really help us until we get 7 mana, which is a little bit. That's a little bit. So if I had the chance to do it all over again, yeah, I'd probably mulligan this hand, but I did fall in love with having 4 lands and a Harmonize, so I ended up keeping it on the strength of that. We did win the die roll, so we'll get to go first. Hopefully, yeah, there's a lot of things I'd like to look at, namely things that help us more with mana is where I want to be. And the goal of this deck, I wasn't sure exactly what to do with Klothys, but after looking at it for a little while, I decided that Klothys does damage. Why don't I put other creatures in the deck that do damage, and then I can put things like Basilisk Collar and Luxodon Warhammer on all of them. Putting lifelink on things that pump out a bunch of damage for you seems pretty good, so that's kind of the theme of this deck. It's going to be a bunch of creatures that are good with lifelink and or Death Touch. So that's kind of what we want to be doing, and drakuseth, definitely one of those cards, so... Also, one of the reasons I kept this opening hand, because we have one of the main creatures that we're looking for in the deck. So, anyway, we draw a Kodama's Reach. That will be most helpful. We'll play the Mountain right here, just tap out and pass. At some point, I'll probably play the Gruul Turf to make sure we get the green mana, and then just have to pitch a Mountain to hand size is probably what we'll be doing, but... who knows, maybe we'll catch something off the top that'll prevent us from having to do that, but I have just prepared for myself that that may need to happen, so... Let's take a look at what Klothys does. I don't know that this one's receiving huge amounts of EDH attention, although its skill sets look like they're probably pretty good for standard and other types of play. Anyway, it's 1 red-green for a 4/5 indestructible, is not a creature if your devotion to red and green is less than 7. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a land card, add red or green to your mana pool. Otherwise, you gain 2 life, and Klothys does 2 damage to each opponent. So, really interesting card. It does a lot of weird kind of graveyardy things that you wouldn't necessarily expect out of red and green. Probably expect a little more out of like green and black. Sort of reminds me of a Deathrite Shaman a little bit, but theoretically should help us make mana somewhere along the way. Should also gain us a little bit of life and do a little bit of damage. So... we're going to use that to try and make our opponent's life totals not 40 as the game gets going around, and eventually, lay down some of these other big things that do lots of fire-based damage, and then make our opponent's life total 0. So that's really what we're looking at. Anyway, with all that, we draw into a Path of Ancestry, which gives us an option to get green mana without having to discard to hand size, so we'll go ahead, play the Path of Ancestry right here, and then we'll just tap out and pass once again. Arcane Signet for the Ayara opponent. We're in pretty good shape right now that no one's off to a blazing start, so I can appreciate that. Opponent's going to end step an Enlightened Tutor. That may speed them up just a little bit. They do reveal a Soul Ring. Yeah, okay, they're going to get a little bit faster. Here comes the Soul Ring. And, ooh, that's a Rhystic Study. Blah. Not great, not great. They're probably going to draw at least a couple. We do not have the Artifact Enchantment Removal in hand currently, so that's a bit annoying. Here's a Rakdos Signet. Hopefully they're paying for it. They don't. Ugh. And there's a Golgari Signet. Well, they're not paying for that one. About to be a lot of card draw off this Rhystic Study. Oh, Tormod's Crypt. Tormod's Crypt so bad against Rhystic Study. Okay. Well, I guess we are playing a Mountain. And then we play the Kodama's Reach. Next turn we can hopefully pay for some stuff. Can't pay for the Rhystic Study. We have a lot of red. Let's get some green. So 1 into play tapped, 1 into the hand. We'll just hold back on that Tormod's Crypt. See if someone wants to shoot that Rhystic Study first. We'll take a look at what our opponents are playing, by the way. First up, we have Tyrant of Ruin piloting Ayara, First of Locktwain. Ayara's a pretty nasty little deck. I've seen it a few times. I think Tyrant's the one that's mainly played it. Tyrant is definitely a mono-black player at heart. And Ayara says, whenever it or another black creature enters a battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And then sacrifice another black creature, draw a card. Ooh. A bunch of nasty things happen while I'm talking right there. Smothering Tithe coming down, as well as a Thought Vessel. That is a lot of nastiness. We're going to need to find some artifact and enchantment removal ASAP. We're going to find out if Korvold has any, but because with those two things on board, you definitely got to point a little bit in that direction. Anyway, Ayara did lay down a Panharmonicon, so trying to get those triggers twice. The life loss will be interesting because to the other two opponents combined with our life loss, their life totals should get low pretty quickly. Ayara will offset the life loss with its own life gain a little bit, so maybe not as bad for them, but it's definitely a combo-centric deck, does a lot of aristocracy kind of things. Here comes a Vampiric Tutor for the Korvold. Continuing on our opponents, we have 7-10 life piloting Kykar Wind's Fury. They've got a bit of a start going with Smothering Tithe, a bunch of Mana Rocks, and a Rhystic Study. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Don't know if they're on like a combo-based Kykar or what they're really up to. There's a lot of directions to go with Kykar. Lots of things you can be doing with spirits that can be sacked for red mana. And after all that, Korvold's going to tap out and pass. Ugh. Opponent just drawn like crazy. There's a Subterranean Tremors. That would blow up a lot of artifacts. Seems like it might be a pretty good idea. There's a Smothering Tithe on us. Can't do much about that. Got 8 cards in hand. We're definitely going to need to play one of them. We'll be on 5 mana. What does 5 mana mean? We could get our commander. What do opponents have in graveyards? Read this one more time. If we exile a land, we add mana. If we exile something else, it's 2 damage, 2 life. No lands in graveyard yet. Doesn't look like too many fetches floating around. We can also exile things from our own graveyard if we needed to. Not that we necessarily want to do that, but if it'll get us extra mana, doesn't seem awful. I think this turn we go for a Klothys. Rhystic Study will trigger, and we'll get to scry one. Next turn, I'm thinking about setting up for the Subterranean Tremors. I think we're probably going to see a Ayara this turn, maybe 1 or 2 other creatures. So I'm going to try to catch a few things in that. Here comes the scry. We've got a Cindervines on top. That's artifact and enchantment removal. We're going to keep that right there. Do I want a Tormod's Crypt if I'm just planning to blow everything up next turn? Not really. Not really. Still 8 cards in hand. Maybe we play the Gruul Turf, discard a land, and then use that to get some extra mana next turn with Klothys. I think I like that. Or I guess we can just leave it there until we need it. So yeah, let's do that. Play the Gruul Turf. Let's bounce the Mountain, I guess. I guess if we play the Tormod's Crypt, we won't have to discard the hand size. Yeah, let's discard a land. It's like not amazing, but we have card draw to offset it, and I think the 1 mana could be helpful going forward. So we will discard a Mountain and pass turn like that. Here comes Ayara, First of Locktwain, into the Rhystic Study. Hope they pay. They do, and Ayara will trigger twice. Ugh. Subterranean Tremors unfortunately does not hit creatures with flying, which is going to be probably most of Kykar's deck, but we can still get a few other small things with it. Won't hit Korvold either. Few too many abilities on Korvold. I guess we should probably talk about Korvold, being piloted by Dragon Knight 104. A card that's quickly gotten too strong. There are too many abilities on Korvold. 5 mana 4/4 flyer, enters the battlefield or attacks, sacrifice another permanent. Whenever a permanent gets sacrificed, put a +1/+1 counter on Korvold and draw a card. The drawing a card makes it a little bit too good. Even without it, Korvold just gets huge, minus any combo lines that you can do with it, which there are many. So yeah, Korvold, really good. You got to watch out for it. It'll just kill you, either by combo or by being huge. So, yep. Opponent does a bunch of things. They lay down a Mentor of the Meek. They get a Spirit. I didn't see whether they drew with it or not. They play a Swiftfoot Boots. Appears that they are out of mana for the Swiftfoot Boots. Ooh, opponent's getting a Nature's Claim on the Smothering Tithe. That is really good news. Because I'm planning to blow up all the artifacts. That'll leave only the Rhystic Study as the problematic piece. But we do have that Cindervines on top. Ooh, that's the Swan Song. Okay. Smothering Tithe not going to go down. And Kykar will get to make a Spirit. Opponent does not have the mana to pay for Mentor of the Meek right here. Never mind, they do. They sacked a Spirit to draw. Okay. And then Rhystic Study triggers. Korvold actually just about out of cards. They're down to 2. Here comes Korvold. Yeah, good thing for them to get that into play before I blow everything up. They can sacrifice a permanent if they want to. They sacrifice the bird token from the Swan Song. Opponent's going to untap a forest. There's that Cindervines we saw. Not going to pay for the Smothering Tithe. We get a Klothys trigger. Right here, just going to exile some stuff. We'll just say the Enlightened Tutor. Next turn, I'll probably look at exiling our land. So, play probably our Hameware Battlements. Yeah, play our Hameware Battlements just in case there's a wheel. And then we can Subterranean Tremors for X4. And this will get rid of some creatures and some artifacts. We'll pay the 1 for the Rhystic Study. So we blow a bunch of things up. We get rid of Arcane Signet, Panharmonicon, Ayara, Mentor of the Meek, Soul Ring, all the treasure tokens, and 2 signets plus a mana dork. Pretty good. Pretty good. Trimming back our opponent's resources real nicely. Subterranean Tremors. I don't play a ton of green-red. I play a lot of colors that rely on artifacts really heavily, so it's not a card that I get to run all that much, but oh man, when you do, feels great. Here comes a Yahenni Undying Partisan. Opponent's going to pay for the Rhystic Study. Going to swing Yahenni our way. I suppose we deserve that. Next turn, probably try to look at getting some stuff into play that might be able to turn our creature into a blocker. So down to 38 we go. Here's a Muldrifter Evoked for opponent. Korvold's gonna Red Elemental Blast the Muldrifter. Nice. I don't know if it's gonna do that much. They still got the Rhystic Study. They get to draw one off of it, so, you know, they stop one draw. How much did that really do? It was cute, but I don't know exactly how effective. They could have shot the Rhystic Study with it. Oh, that's a Luminarch Ascension. So, yeah, just like nasty enchantment tribal over there, looks like. That is definitely one way to go with Kykar. We need to catch some sort of mana accelerant off the top. If we caught like an Ancient Tomb, Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, something that makes 2, we could theoretically haste the drakuseth into play and start burning stuff to death. Here's a Zulaport Cutthroat for opponent. That's a nasty one. I'm sure that won't be involved in any combos anywhere. Korvold's going to swing into the Kykar. Opponent can sacrifice another permanent if they want to. They sacrifice the Zulaport Cutthroat. That's going to trigger Yahenni, Korvold, and the Zulaport Cutthroat. Oh, we draw a Chord of Calling. That's interesting. Inferno Titan doesn't seem awful. That's going to be a Smothering Tithe trigger on us. I don't actually know what I'm doing this turn anymore. Chord of Calling opens up some new options. Guess I'm not going to pay for the Tithe. Do we try to slam one of these 7 mana creatures? If we do, we'll find out if opponents have board wipes or not. Yeah, I think that seems fine. Let's exile. Do we need to exile a mountain? We do if we want to pay for the Rhystic Study, but I'm just going to exile. I'm going to exile the Zulaport Cutthroat right here. Has a funny way of coming back to play. A lot. So opponent's life's ticking down. We gain 2 life. Play the Forest. Let's go drakuseth first. If opponents have removal, they're going to use it on a drakuseth. We can follow it up with the Nyxbloom Ancient next turn. Oh, nice. Klothys does damage to opponent, which keeps counters from piling up on Luminarch Ascension, so have at least a few more turns before they get that active. There's a Siphon Flesh. Each other player sacrifices a creature. You create a zombie. Yep, there goes drakuseth. Into the Rhystic Study. Now, we'll get rid of Korvold, though. Korvold, a bit of a problem. Opponent can just sacrifice a spirit right here, though. So, sacrifice a drakuseth. Yahenni will trigger twice. Yahenni into the Kykar opponent. Yeah, Luminarch Ascension has a funny way of doing that. Also, the Rhystic Study, Smothering Tithe probably aren't helping their cause. Ooh, opponent's gonna block. Doesn't want to take the 5 from Yahenni. So down Kykar goes. And Luminarch Ascension will get a counter on it. Yeah, that's probably why. They're probably trying to get those counters on Luminarch Ascension. We've got damage on our turn. We just need to keep exiling creatures and things. Maybe this is the turn for Cindervines. Opponent's going to crack their Myriad Landscape, go get some lands. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe Cindervines are probably a lot of non-creature spells in the Kykar deck. It's not going to be amazing, but Harmonize. Maybe we Cindervines the Smothering Tithe first. Yeah, that's probably what we should do. Cindervines that, then Harmonize, I think is where I'm at. Opponent's going to play a Sun Titan. What's in their graveyard? Mentor of the Meek still in there. Soul Ring they can get back. Thought Vessel, a lot of stuff. Boots. They can get Boot. Oh, they missed it. They have a treasure. They could go Swiftfoot Boots, get the boots, equip them, and then attack, and then get something else back. Just going for the Soul Ring, though. I'll probably exile the boots next turn as a result of those things I just talked about, but Mentor of the Meek also good in that deck. Here's a Dark Ritual for opponent into the Rhystic Study. Here's a Necromancy. Let's see what this goes after. I feel like I've exiled... it can go after the drakuseth, is what it can go after. How much do I care about that? It would do a lot of damage. That's for sure. Yep, grabbing the drakuseth. but it clears out some stuff from our other opponents. We're not really the threat at this moment. Maybe we try to make someone else answer it. Opponent will get a trigger with the Luminarch Ascension. Yep. Brings it back to our turn. We draw a mountain. Not going to pay for the Smothering Tithe. Use Klothys ability. Let's get rid of the Swiftfoot Boots. Let's play the mountain. Play Cinder Vines. We paying for the Rhystic Study? Got 6 mana. Yeah, probably pay for the Rhystic Study. Shoot Smothering Tithe. Get rid of this thing. Suppose we could have waited until opponent's next turn, and that way if they put damage, that way if we get damage on them during that turn, Luminarch Ascension doesn't tick up, but oops. Opponent will get to draw one with the Rhystic Study right here. Oh, that's a Mana Geyser. That's the card we want. So I think next turn is going to be the Mana Geyser. Plus a land. I'm liking that. Opponents haven't really been making all their land drops, though, so, like, Mana Geyser will be fine. It won't be the card that it could be. Opponent is down to 23 randomly after all of our, little burn effects with Klothys and everything else, so... Yeah, Klothys is interesting in that it has the ability, just that ability to do incidental damage over time means that no one's at 40 when you get to like turn 7, 8 of the game. That's a black market though, and black market does pile up counters very quickly. Yep, opponent just going to send everything at the Kykar. Yeah. Nope, changing their mind. Ooh, everything our way. Ouch. Well, that's not great for the Luminarch Ascension. One thing that will be a little bit of a concern is the triple green on Nyx Bloom Ancient. We're going to want to try to leave maximum green mana from the Mana Geyser. I mean, honestly, Mana Geyser with our current hand is a lot of green. A lot of green in our hand. Kykar back to play. Ooh, that's an Ether Flux Reservoir. Now, opponent's down to 23, so it does take a really specific number of things for them to combo off, but it can't just gain them some life, and it is a piece. It is a piece that will get them there eventually if you leave it alone. Still got 8 cards in hand. That's all ridiculous. Opponent sacrifices a spirit. Oh, yeah. Black Market and Yahenni. That all seems bad. They're going to fire a Generous Gift off on the Necromancy. Okay. That'll take down the drakuseth. Maybe Bane of Progress is the card we need. Yeah, I think Bane of Progress is the card we need. So drakuseth down. Yahenni gets bigger. So we'll have 9 mana. Sun Titan into the Ayara. Yeah. Sun Titan will trigger. Gets back the Myriad Landscape. That's a good one to get back. Can definitely do the ramping with that. That's a Rhythm of the Wild for the Korvold. Into the Rhystic Study. Pays for it. And opponent's going to pass like that. Luminarch Ascension gets that 4th counter on it. We definitely don't want them to untap with mana with that. That's a Dictate of the Twin Gods. That's a fun card. We're going to use Klothys on... I think on the Mentor of the Meek right here, because they can get that back with the Sun Titan. And then draw even more cards. And they've already drawn plenty, so... Let's shut that nonsense off. So let's play the Wooded Foothills. Let's crack the Wooded Foothills. Let's get a Taiga. And then we're going to pass a turn, and we're going to sit on this Court of Calling for a moment. Actually, double check. That's 3. Okay. So yeah, we have all the mana we need to Court of Calling into Bane of Progress, and that's what I'm going to do. We'll let Ayara have the 2 black mana first. If with the Sun Titan on board, I mean, they may fire down some kind of removal. Opponent sacks a creature, puts a counter on Yahenni. Here we go. Yahenni's indestructible. That's a Toxic Deluge X6. That works. That works. And that's why we waited. Feel pretty good that Bane of Progress is going to stick. Back to our turn. So a couple Yahenni triggers, bunch of Black Market triggers. Definitely don't want them to untap with that again. Here comes some Lightning Greaves. Pays for the Rhystic Study. Gonna equip the Greaves onto Yahenni. Opponent gonna swing into the Kykar opponent. Yeah. Alright. It's gonna be time for our big play. Been a lot of setup up to this point. Court of Calling time. Cannot pay for the Rhystic Study. Oh, it resolves. We get to search our library for a creature. It's gonna be this Bane of Progress. Bane of Progress will come in and blow up a whole bunch of things. It gets 7 +1/+1 counters on it. Gets rid of a whole bunch of problems like Luminarch Ascension, Rhystic Study, Ether Flux Reservoir, Black Market, Lightning Greaves, and a Rhythm of the Wild. That worked out pretty good. Well, there's a Wrath of God, so Bane of Progress is going to go down, as will Yahenni. Did have some plans of attacking right there. I was starting to think ahead about that Bane of Progress plus the Dictate and how much damage that would deal. So that's not going to be the case today. Oh, that's a consecrated sphinx. How do we deal with a consecrated sphinx? Probably still dictate and like Klothys, maybe? I don't know. But it's definitely time to start thinking about the Nyx Bloom Ancient. I think there's going to be a lot of tapped out lands right here, so the Mana Geyser, I think, is also a thing we want to be looking at. Korvold coming into play. They're going to sacrifice a permanent. That'll trigger the Consecrated Sphinx when they draw. Ooh. That seems... Oh, Soul's Majesty gets so much worse with Consecrated Sphinx in play. That's a thing. That's a thing. But, I mean, the only way we're going to get rid of it is by drawing stuff. It's a Kessig Wolf Run. That's an interesting card. All right, Klothys trigger. What do we get rid of? I think I'm going to exile a land right here. I think it's about time that we got some extra mana. Oh, opponent had a land in their graveyard. Oops. So we're definitely going to need extra green because of the Mana Geyser. We're going to try not to use the Hainware Battlements. Here's what I can't tell. Do we go Nyx Bloom first or Mana Geyser first? Probably Mana Geyser first. Does Kessig Wolf Run give us the ability to kill a player right here? It might. It might. Whew. How to use our mana best. Could use the Gruul Turf. And that leaves us with red, green, green. Seems reasonable. Let's try it. Let's try it. So, Mana Geyser, we get 22 red mana. Let's get started. Let's play this Nyx Bloom Ancient. We're going to need the triple green now. Ew. Probably can't just kill someone. That gives trample. We need more green mana. Actually, nope. I think we can. I think we can. Okay. Play the Kessig Wolf Run. Almost messed this up, I think. Make Nyx Bloom Ancient huge. Yeah, I think we're in good shape. Oh, that triple mana thing is real crazy. Use a bunch of the red mana. Opponent's at 20, they can block 6. So if we trample over, we would need to trample over for, what, 10? And then double it with Dictate? I don't know if we have that much damage, honestly. Maybe if nothing else, we can kill the Consecrated Sphinx. X is 7 currently. It's going to need to go a little higher. That's 8 mana left. Start over. Start over. We're going to want 10 for the Soul's Majesty and the Dictate. Or do we just take them out? What is better? We're on X7, so we have to go to, what, X11? Need 4 more mana, which puts us below the ability to Soul's Majesty and Dictate. It's not great. It's not great. Oh, opponent doesn't know. Well, we have to use the mana all at once. Okay, so we can't just sit on the Dictate and then flash it down, which would be funny. That's 11. We'll stop right there. Or that's X8 with 11 mana floating, so we'll stop right there. So we've got a 13 power creature. Let's Soul's Majesty. We draw a whole bunch of things. Anything that can help us through right here. Yeah, Tyrant's Familiar helps us through. Oh, I think we're just a little bit short on mana. Oh no. Opponent draws a million cards. Could just cast Rurikthar. That makes life difficult for them. So if we played... Well, if we play the Tyrant's Familiar, then we don't have enough to haste the Nyx Bloom Ancient. However, if we play the Dictate, then this becomes a creature. And, oh yeah, what if we do it this way? So if we play Tyrant's Familiar, Tyrant's Familiar will make that a creature. We attack, we do 7 damage to a thing that gets rid of that. That means that we'd have we'd have to haste that thing still. Ah, crap. Well, yeah, maybe we just do it. So I think we just do it this way. Play the Dictate. That makes Klothys a creature. Use the 1 red. Give Nyx Bloom Ancient haste. Let's do some attacking. This might still kill them. Opponent's going to block the big one. That's going to trample over for 7. Everything's doubled. The 4 is doubled. That's 8. Is that enough? It's enough! Puts him to -2. All right, we did all the stuff I was trying to do. Next we play the Tormod's Crypt. And then we pass the turn. We have 13 cards in hand, so let's get rid of some lands. We'll get rid of the slow ones. Homeward Path is good. There seems to be some reanimation going on. Nissa's Pilgrimage we can probably live without. Seem okay without a mountain. Probably okay without the Spine Rognal. 2 cards to go. Zerta Druid is meh. And no, let's hold on to that homeward path. Do we need to strip mine anything? Not yet, but yeah, discard the stomping ground. Keep the utility lands. Pass like that. There's a Nim Death Mantle for opponent. Yep, it's part of a combo. We do have a Tormod's Crypt, so that should be pretty effective against that combo. And because I knew we were going to be doing some amount of milling with this deck, I wanted to have Tormod's Crypt in there. I do have a Mesmeric Orb in the deck, as well as Mindcrank Orb. No combo for the Orb, though. Just mill. Just keeps the graveyard full for Klothys to exile stuff. And, like, against combo decks, that's actually pretty effective because you have the exile built into your commander, and you can just exile their combo pieces and stuff like that. What we will have to deal with is this Korvold that's just attacking us in the air and is just going to be large. Although, next turn we're definitely on Sandworm Convergence. So here's 12 Commander coming at us. Ouch. We need more mana doubling. Our Nyx Bloom guy went down, so no more mana doubling for us. What we could do is just lay down this Magmatic Force and shoot everything. This doesn't seem like an awful plan. Klothys trigger, let's exile another land from our opponent's graveyard. Let's add a red. Let's play the Homeward Path. So we can play Tyrant's Familiar, shoot the Korvold, that'll get rid of it, and then we have a lot of damage to deal. Seems like a plan. Do we need Kessig Wolfron? We don't need the Hainware Battlements. I guess we'll tap out the Homeward Path. Hope that doesn't punish us. Should have played Rhythm of the Wild first. Whoops. Didn't really plan out my turns super well. Oh, hey. Klothys, not a creature. Also should have played something else to make it a creature. Well, guess we're having a subpar turn right here. So we'll attack Dragon Knight. Get the 7 damage on Korvold. That'll be doubled. It'll take 14. So Korvold goes down. We could pump for, what, 3? 3 is not enough to kill them, so just let that be. I guess we play the Forgotten Ancient and watch that get huge. Yep, if we played that first, we would have been able to attack with the Klothys and put more damage on our opponent. Oops. Subpar turn right there. It's okay, we have a pretty good lead on our opponent. There's the Cabal Coffers. Hopefully it's not the Torment of Hellfire. It's a Newscraft mob. Okay. Triggers the Forgotten Ancient. They will make a bunch of zombies, actually, and a bunch of zombies can be scary. Tyrants is flying damage, which is really good right now. Okay, yeah, I feel pretty good about winning on our next turn here. Korvold coming back to play. That'll trigger the Newscraft mob and our Forgotten Ancient. Can we kill both players? That's the question now. Korvold's going to sacrifice a permanent. So we get back to our turn. Forgotten Ancient's going to get... we can move the counters on Forgotten Ancient if we want to. It's not super threatening as a 2/5. So I think I'll move him to the Tyrant's Familiar. Klothys trigger. I think I'm going to go for the damage this time. Let's get rid of the Panharmonicon, I guess. That puts opponents at 17 and 9. So we just got to attack 1 in the air and then play Magmatic Force. Seems like a winner. So play the Strip Mine. Play Rhythm of the Wild. Newscraft Mob will trigger. Play Magmatic Force. Magmatic Force is a pet card of mine, and I don't get to run it nearly enough. But once you get it into play, especially if you got doublers, it's pretty good. Forgotten Ancient and Newscraft Mob will trigger. Let's go for the haste on the Magmatic Force. Then let's go to combat. We do need to make sure that we don't die to the Korvold. Okay, well, I think if we just send 3 things their way. Yeah, we just send 3 things their way. Should be fine. So, Tyrant's Familiar over to Tyrant of Ruin. See what I did there? And the other one's over to Dragon Knight. Tyrant's Familiar will trigger. Shoot the Newscraft mob. Nim Death Mantle will trigger. Opponent has no mana. And both players going down. Klothys getting there. So yeah, this was something I just threw together real quick. Didn't really see any of the graveyard pieces like Mindcrank or Mesmeric Orb. I also threw in I was supposed to throw in a Genesis. Apparently Genesis didn't make it, but Genesis is definitely a card you'll want in this deck, because if you're milling yourself with Mesmeric Orb, Genesis gets you all your stuff back, which is kind of cool. Yeah, but I didn't spend a lot of time on this deck. It was just something I kind of whipped up. I'm like, okay, it does damage. Let's get other things that do lots of damage and see if we can't put some lifelink on them. Never got the lifelink on them from the Warhammer or the Shadow Spear or the Basilisk Collar, but you know, it's in there. There is a Godo to try and find some of those things. Other than that, it was just big dumb green red deck does big dumb green red deck things, and that was kind of fun. Subterranean Tremors really trimmed back a lot of our opponent's resources. That was nice. The Court of Calling got us into the Bane of Progress, which got rid of a lot of nasty crap on board. So that was really good. Who knew being able to tutor creatures directly out of your library at instant speed is really powerful? What? We have a Heartless Hitasugu in the deck for more of the life gain thing. You slap lifelink on that and tap it, and it's gonna do a lot. So yeah, there's some fun, nasty stuff in this deck. It's I wouldn't say it's the fastest thing ever. You could make it faster by putting things like probably a Zusa and a Selvala in here, really trying to get the OP mana ramp going. I didn't do that today, but definitely something you can play around with if you wanted to. But yeah, just decent utility off of Klothys, being able to exile stuff from your opponents, get that little bit of damage going so they're not at 40. Occasionally you're getting some ramp out of it as well. So it does a lot of cool things and just sits there until it's ready to attack. And, you know, if you put a damage doubler in, a 4/5 that does 8 damage is not too bad. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.